Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another player ratings live stream following, well, I've probably never been as emotionally confused as I have been, especially today, but in general this weekend. It's been everything's just been weird and went bad, but also kind of went good, and it's a shambles. And before I'd say anything else, thank you, Tottenham. I never thought I'd say that. I never wanted to have to say that, but we have to say that. Thank you, Tottenham. We've been quite literally bailed out. As you might be able to tell from my good friend's, Avi or whatever, profile picture, whatever you want to call it. We are today not joined by CFC Pies because he is unavailable today, but we have the best super sub in the world. Makes sense because his favorite player is Christian Pulisic, so, super sub. We're joined by Mr. ConnCFC. First of all, Con, how you doing? And secondly, of course, thank you for joining me.
I'm doing good, bro. Just like you said, I'm so emotionally confused. Thanks for having me on once again, though. Appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for coming on. Hey, I always have a great time. Yeah, like I said, hey, what a weird day. What a weird day. What a dreadful performance, honestly. Like, yeah, you can say at the start we weren't so bad. We created challenges, we just didn't take them. But that's part of being dreadful, in my eyes. Sure, for a few games, you can say, oh, we can deal with that. But when you do it for literally pretty much 38 games, because today was the 38th game this season, and we've literally done this, creating chances and not taking them all bloody season long with, I don't know if there was even one game where I'm like, yeah, we pretty much took all of the chances we had. I don't think that there's a single game where I would say that. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a shambles. And obviously, like, defensively, we were dreadful, and midfield-wise, we were dreadful, and everything was just dreadful. But thankfully, Tottenham were not dreadful, or Leicester were even more dreadful. But wow, I don't even know what to say. Because Con just told me off air, you can't be unhappy. We got top four, we got Champions League qualification, and he's 100% right. But then when I see us play like this, and then I see City beat Everton 5-0, and I'm like, you've got to play these men in 6 days. How's this going to go? Do you know what I mean, Con?
No, yeah, I get exactly what you're saying, Laurenz. Like I told you beforehand as well, that me and my mate was watching it and we was just sitting there with no emotion at one point because we thought we weren't getting top four. And then the Europa League days came back to me, them group stages. I don't want them again. I hate it so much. But then Tottenham turn up, Harry Kane, let's go. I don't even know who scored their second goal. Like, I think it was Davinson Sanchez. I don't even know if it went straight in.
I think it was officially given as an own goal by Kasper Schmeichel.
So he could do that against us in the FA Cup final, but I'm glad he did it today. Don't get me wrong.
Hey, karma is a B. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. They Gareth Bale. Let's go. So, like you said, we weren't on it today, but luckily Tottenham were. And for today, I'll love Tottenham. Just for today.
Yeah, exactly. We have a super chat here by Neil Leander Zuza. Sorry if I butchered your name, but I love the name. Saying 200 million spent, 250 million if you want to be super precise. But I suppose net spend it was about 200 million. To go from 66 points to 67 points. Well, nobody can say there was no improvement. We went from 66 to 67 points. No one can complain now. Nah, I mean, you're not wrong. Like, let's be honest, you're not wrong. But let's also not be honest, and let's also not kid yourself. If we didn't have that dreadful 2 months of December and January, we wouldn't only be on 67 points, right? Obviously, there was a few games on the Tuchel that also should have gone better. In particular, the Arsenal one and today. Obviously, there are a few others, but those two are the really frustrating ones, in my opinion, performance-wise, as well as result-wise. But yeah, no, we should have, with how much we spent, I did expect a little more. I can't lie. Like, anyone that says different is probably lying to themselves. But yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, just quickly, before we get into talking about the game itself in more detail and stuff, we already have 60 people watching. Big up yourself if you're new here. And make sure you subscribe if you're new here. Whether you're watching this live right now or you're watching this when this live stream has turned into a video later on and you're watching it then. And if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. Smash the like button. That'd be massively appreciated. And what was his name? Neil, was it? And if, like Neil, you want to just share your thoughts and you want to make sure I highlight it and we talk about it or whatever, do use the super chat function. Support the channel. Why not? You don't have to, of course. But if you would want to, do so. Any which way. Let's talk about the game. Actually, let's talk about the lineup first, Con. Did you have any problems with that? Or did you think, fair enough, really? Obviously, aside from the fact that the graphics guy didn't know whether it was Aspi or Reece James playing right centre back.
Yeah, when I first saw that, I thought it was a decent lineup. Obviously, the news about N'Golo came out just before the game, so
Yeah.
expected. I was kind of surprised not to see Christensen back in the side. I thought he was fully fit, so but I saw Thiago Silva there, and I saw it as like, yeah, no, I was relatively happy with it.
Yeah, no, honestly, I can only really say the same. There's not much to add to it. I mean, sure, in terms of we kind of were going into almost needing a win. Could you have started Callum Hudson-Odoi right wing back? I'm sure you could have done. But aside from that, Havertz wasn't fully fit to start a game. Kante wasn't there, so really was kind of what we had to go with. The only thing I don't like, even though we're somewhat forced into it when Kai isn't fit, and I spoke about this on Chelsea Fan TV a minute ago already, this Werner up front thing works against high lines, and it's worked against City, it worked beautifully against Liverpool, against Madrid. But I don't understand why we're doing it now against everybody. Because it doesn't work against low blocks. Like, it really doesn't. And I don't understand why we keep doing it. Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, I fully agree with that. And Werner against low blocks makes me want to hit my head against the wall sometimes. Laurenz, I can't lie, it really does.
Yeah.
When he missed the ball today, that triggered me so much. But yeah, no, it don't really work. He's not that type of player. Against high lines, he's a nightmare for the other team. But when it's low blocks, yeah, he's a nightmare for us, you know?
No, he really is. And I mean, we'll get into that moment of him missing the ball, even though in my opinion, I should have then followed the penalty because it hit the guy's arm and he had his arm like up here. So is it not a pen? Like, they literally said, like, the holding one wasn't given because his arm was close to his body and not in a high position, right? That's why we didn't get a pen against Arsenal for the handball. And that's why we didn't get the pen for the second handball that Villa had today. But his arm was in the most unnatural position you can ever have it in. And it was high up. It was above the shoulder. So how is it possibly not a penalty? I don't care that Werner misses the ball. And that's why he probably didn't expect him to miss the ball. Because that's not a reason. Like, obviously, if someone shoots it at you, that's different. You can't expect that, right? But you can't just say, oh, he didn't expect him to miss the ball. And that's not how it should work. There should be a clear pen, in my opinion. But that's not a real excuse. Because aside from that, sure, first 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, might have been okay. We had a few chances. Obviously, that Werner one should have done better with. In my opinion, should have been a penalty. We had, obviously, the header from Werner. We had, what was it? The chance from Mount where the lovely over the top ball from Jorginho and the cutback from Aspi. But aside from that, it was all just Chile bombing up and down that wing, Aspi bombing up and down that wing, getting the ball into the middle, and no one could do anything with it. Every single time. And the longer the game went on, the more we started to struggle. And then we can't defend set pieces. And out of nowhere, we're 1-0 down, nearly losing our heads, nearly getting everybody sent off before halftime. Like, I can't even explain how frustrated I was at the performance today. I'm like, what? I'm worried, like, not necessarily for the final, but just for the future. I'm like, there's such a bottle job mentality in this squad. It's ridiculous. Like, how can we so not turn up when this is literally such a decisive? How can you so not turn up? Do you know what I mean?
No, yeah, fully. Like, we needed to win today. If we win today, we get top 4 guaranteed. And that's not the type of performance you want to see, you know? It's really not. And like you said, it's a bit of that bottle job mentality. And it all stems from the issue of we can't score goals. And Laurenz, I guarantee you every week, you're thinking to yourself, how hasn't this player scored this? And then inevitably we score, like we concede from a sort of, I wouldn't say scrappy, but a set piece. It's always a goal like that against us is either a mistake or a set piece. And then when we go behind, you just have no faith that we're going to come back and win, you know? It's just same story, isn't it? Every week.
It honestly is. And, you know, who did I say with? We were with Joe and Chelsea Fan TV a minute ago. It's like, United are really bad. How are they second? But that just shows how bad all of us behind them have been. And when I say all of us, I mean Liverpool, ourselves, Leicester. Not really talking about West Ham. They did really well to be where they are. But Arsenal, Tottenham. The fact that United are second is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. I swear when I watch United, they seem equally as bad, if not worse, most of the time than Arsenal, whenever I watch them. But somehow they win anyway, whether it's with getting ref and VAR decisions their way or whether it's by lucky goals. But whenever I see them, they're always awful. Always. Even in the game against Roma, which they won, like, what was it, 6-2, 4-2, whatever it was. Even in that game, they weren't even good. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's such a weird club. And it triggers me so much that they're so high up the table. It makes me angry any which way. Like you said, like I said, it's just like we can't turn up like that. And these spammers in the chat, you lot pissing me off. Just stop spamming. There's no need for this. Anyway, I don't understand why we don't turn up, and you can't even blame Tuchel for it much. Like, you can talk about motivation, but we need to stop blaming managers for not motivating the squad at this point. Because are we really going to say Mourinho, Conte, Sarri, Lampard, and Tuchel all could motivate players, and it's all these five's fault? Like, not for me. Not for me. But then I look at it, and I look at our team, I'm like, Mendy, okay, he was the goalkeeper, probably not much to do with motivation today. Rudiger, he's never not motivated. Thiago Silva doesn't need motivation. Same goes for Aspi. Reece didn't, until he moved into midfield, didn't have a bad game. In midfield, it was shocking, but at the back, it was all right. Jorginho, okay, didn't have a great game, sure, but he's not the guy that lacks motivation. Kovacic, maybe, but he tried, he was just really bad. And then Mount tried, but was really bad. Pulisic half tried and was really bad. And Werner tried and was really bad. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not, like, I don't know what it's, I say we didn't turn up, but it's like our ability didn't turn up. It's not like we didn't try, but we just can't do it. It's on some days, and too often at the moment, it seems like we can't do it any better. And that frustrates me so much, because we know how good some of these players can be, but they just can't use their ability so often, and it's so annoying to me.
No, you're spot on there. Like, we did loads of things right today, and one of the things we couldn't do, as per usual, was put the ball in the back of the net. And we had a few big chances. Mason Mount's shooting boots for the last week or so, I don't know where they've gone. I really don't know where they've gone, because he can't hit the target for anything these days. Pulisic, like you said, he got the assist. It's not, I suppose, nothing we can really shout about, but yeah, kind of poor. Timo today, poor. Like, and it's just too often we're saying this now. Like, when Tuchel's first arrived, we were going unbeaten. We actually looked good. I know, like, we weren't the most clinical, but we looked good. But these last few weeks, man, it's not filled me with confidence in the final at all. You know, it really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I mean, Emil said here, first 30 minutes we were great. I think great is a strong overstatement. I think we were decent and could have certainly been 1 or 2-0 up. But it gets to a point, and I said this earlier, where we shouldn't look at it anymore like we create a chance, but we missed them, so we still play great just to finish in there. With us, because that's our main problem. When we create chances, that's normal. That's nothing special. I'm not barely even calling that decent anymore. That's just what we do. But not finishing chances, that's the big problem. So I'm not going to say we were great until we actually score a goal, because that's the problem. Do you know what I mean? And it's a shambles, honestly. Someone asked in the chat what's going on with Mendy. He seems to have injured his ribs, and seems to be quite in a lot of discomfort and pain, according to Thomas Tuchel. So there will be a scan made tomorrow, and Tuchel said they will try everything for him to be between the sticks, I suppose, against Man City in the final. Nah, I can't imagine Mendy isn't fit and Klepper plays.
Can I just say as well, I'm sick of these mishits going in off the post.
Yeah.
Why are we getting so unlucky with that? First, Maitland-Niles mishits it, comes off the post. Traore today mishits it, comes off the crossbar, goes in. Like, come on, man. Stop this. These mishits just keep going in, man. I can't be bothered.
No, it's crazy. But they always ever go in. When we have a miss hit, it goes about 15 yards wide.
It really does.
Every time. Just look at Havertz's finish in the second half, when he obviously got the shove in the back and then he couldn't control it anymore. But it could have been a miss hit that goes in anyway. But no, it obviously flies over the goal like by 10 yards. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so annoying. It's so frustrating. And I mean, you look at the start of the game. First thing that I can really remember is Jack Grealish body checking Jorginho. I'm like, fair enough. But then he gives Werner a yellow card for half as bad of a tackle as that. So I'm like, by that logic, as much as you love Jack Grealish and he was good, should have had about 15 yellow cards today. What is this referee doing? I still think we should have had 2 penalties, at least 1. It's just referee decisions aren't going our way. Lucky moments aren't going our way. Scuff shots with the opponent are going in. Our scuff shots are going wide, like we just touched on. It's just we're giving stupid penalties away. Well, we can't get any. Kovacic, the most press-resistant player, can't keep the ball for the last 2 games. It's shocking. It's dreadful, isn't it?
No, yeah. just to touch on that Grealish point, yeah, I think he should have been booked. That second tackle in Jorginho. Because at first I was like, do these two have a problem that we don't know about? It seems like Grealish didn't like Jorginho. I don't know what for.
Maybe.
But
I don't know.
what a player he is, though. Like, he was so important for them today. And I think we missed that sort of attacker, you know, who will get us going, who will really sort of drive us forwards. He was great today, I feel, Grealish. I think he had a really good game. Yeah, like you said, we're just getting the referee decisions. Is that unlucky? Is that something else, Knackers? I'm getting bored with that, Laurenz.
Yeah, it's like that Jose statement from back in the day. There's an agenda, and it feels so real. It's crazy.
I know football fans always think there's something going on against their teams, but come on now. It's becoming a bit of a joke. Like, how many more things are we not getting given? Every single game I can think of for the last like 3 or 4 games, we should have had a pen, but it wasn't given. I know we got one last game against Leicester, but we should have had another one that was more clear. And it felt like they only gave the other one because they didn't give the first one. Like, you can't make 2 really massive errors like that, can you? So it's getting a bit boring now. Like, rival fans might laugh at us and say, "Oh, but everyone says that, etc." But come on, man, come on. Now, what excuse do you have now?
No, honestly, I agree. And this comment here about Prashant, yeah, but Lampard was in charge of more games than Tuchel, so this is a completely irrelevant point. Like, if they both did 18 games and 19 games, sure, then you could make an argument for this, but he was not. So how many Prem games has Tuchel been in charge for? Like 13?
I think so.
Something like that. It's not more than that. Any which way. That, and someone said, did Pulisic play wing back? No, we switched to a back 4 when Ziyech came on for Jorginho. That's why Reece James moved out into midfield. Anyway, let me get quickly the lineup moving at the bottom. Wrong button. I need to adjust it for today's lineup. But I suppose you can already start talking about Mendy, I suppose. He can't really be, not just not really. He can't be blamed for the goal we conceded.
Yeah.
And he didn't really have anything else to do, did he? I don't remember him making any other serious save. So I have no idea what rating we should give him.
I was kind of thinking NA, you know. That's what I was thinking. He had nothing to do. They scored 1 goal that he had no chance with, and then he got injured. How do you rate that performance, man? I don't know. Unless you just give him a 5.
What did you say? What? A minute ago, I swear you said 8.
No, I said that NA.
NA. Sorry, I was like an 8. I was like, that's a bit high. I was baffled. NA. To be fair, you can make a case for that, but maybe a player that played 45 minutes is a bit weird to give an NA. I suppose, give him a 5, maybe a 6, but you can't really do much more than that, can you?
No, I feel 5's fair. Like, he didn't do nothing right, didn't do nothing wrong, so just give him a 5.
Exactly, because it's not even like usually I would say he's had one moment where he made one good save, even though he conceded, but he can't do nothing about the goal. He made 1 or 2 good things. And this is not even a criticism of Mendy. He just didn't do none of those because he didn't even get the opportunity to do so, if that makes sense. But yeah, I suppose a 5 is fair. And then we get to the centre-backs. I suppose we start with Reece James because he was obviously the right centre-back. I mean, can't really say much about his centre-back performance, but when he came into midfield, especially the first 10, 15 minutes, he was so overwhelmed by playing there, he could not hack it. Like, I swear every pass was straight to the opponent, especially when he had to use his left foot. He did not know what he was doing anymore. Like, he was struggling like crazy. He got better the longer he played in midfield, but I would say overall maybe like a 6.
I was leaning more towards 5, to be honest.
5, off you go. That's fine as well.
I feel like at the start of the game, he got spun twice. Luckily, Villa didn't make nothing of it, but El Ghazi got behind him far too easily for my liking. He was all right, so I don't want to give him anything lower than a 5. But yeah, like when he went into midfield, under-hitting passes, slowing the game down a bit at times, wasn't his greatest performance. Not like he did massive things wrong, but he didn't really do a lot right or good either. So that's why I'd lean towards a 5 a bit more.
Yeah, I put now 5.5 because I would still be okay with this 6 because I know he wasn't great, but he wasn't actually at fault for any of the goals we conceded. And I don't know. He seemed the most stable in terms of building it out while we were playing a back three to me, because I think Rudiger was kind of not doing anything in terms of passing it out today. But I think 5.5 is then fair enough, like, I suppose, compromise between the two. And to be honest, I'm really struggling with all of the centre-backs. I don't know, Silva, I think he messed up. People won't have noticed it, but I think he messed up badly to give that corner away from which we conceded. You probably, if I say this to you, you'd probably don't even remember what I'm talking about, I assume. But for people that maybe are in this situation, if you don't even know what I'm on about, he literally, there's a ball over the top, he wins the ball, controls it, and then he has the ball bounce in front of him. And he's literally just, in my opinion, misjudged the pace of the ball and tries to, wants to kind of wait or whatever to try and put it out or look for a passing option. In the time, the ball's gone further than he thought it would. By the time he clocks that, he runs after it. It's gone out for a corner. And from said corner, we conceded. That was dreadful. Like, what are you doing? You're Thiago Silva. I'm expecting you to not make silly mistakes like that. I'm expecting Reece James, because he's young, to make a silly mistake like that. I'm expecting, I don't know, Christensen, because he makes silly mistakes, to make silly mistakes like that. But not you, Thiago Silva. So that triggered me. But I don't know. I suppose also 5.5, 6, 5. So anyway, in that area for me. But what about you, Con?
No, I agree. I think, do you remember Rudiger last season? Was it Sheffield or West Ham did that against? He gave away that corner and we conceded from a corner.
Last season?
To give away. Yeah, last season.
But he didn't play for us last season.
He did.
Who? Thiago Silva?
No, Rudiger.
Oh, Rudiger. Sorry, I didn't understand.
When he
100%. No, I do know what you mean now. Yeah, exactly. And it's just really annoying when they do that.
Yeah. So I think 5, because it's harsh, I know, but we're talking about a world-class defender here. Do you know what I mean?
And essentially, it cost us a goal.
Yeah. So I'd go for 5. I feel it'd be harsh to give him the same rate as Reece James when Reece James weren't really at fault for a goal.
Yeah, it's true. But, I mean, Emil, you say that. We conceded from a set piece, so I'm not sure about that one, G. But I suppose we talk about that goal quickly. It was such a weird goal to concede because, and I know we're Chelsea fans, so we like to throw shade at our defenders. Personally, I think that was a brilliant set piece, and I wish we did set pieces like that.
Yeah.
I think it was really good because people say, zonal marking didn't work, whatever, and Werner was right there, he didn't see him coming or whatever. Sure, but Traore was literally the furthest Villa player away from behind the far post. As the ball is about to be played, he runs from all the way there, but not into a danger area. Runs around everybody between the big bulk of people in the middle and Werner at the edge of the box. And the corner literally hits him perfectly or finds him perfectly and then kind of half scuffs the shot into the top corner. And for me, people that blame Werner for it, I'm like, how is Werner meant to look at the ball that's played and also know who's coming running behind him? He doesn't have an eye on the back of his head. So how can he physically know that Traore is running behind him? Unless someone shouts him that he's coming, he has to look at the corner being taken because what he's doing there is meant to clear a ball if it gets to him. So he's meant to actually look for the ball. Werner in their situation isn't in a position to make sure to defend somebody. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, he could. If he sees him, he should. But I don't think you can blame him for not seeing him. How can he? Unless someone shouts him, it's impossible for me. But I honestly don't know who I would blame, personally. Would you blame any individual? Or
no, I just think it was something they worked on in training and it came off. It was a good set piece. It was smart thinking from them. Maybe we could do a bit better, but I think it was very clever. And the run Traore made was really good. It's easy to blame Werner because it was probably the closest player to him, and people will see it on the replay and be like, oh, well, how can one not pick him up? But come on, man, he's a striker. He's not going to have that awareness as a defender would have, So it would be really harsh to blame Werner there. It's just a good set piece. Take that one on the chin. The problem was we gave the set piece away.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, AMZ says, but someone has to be marking or was meant to be marking Traore. Well, no, because we don't play man marking. And then he managed to run into a zone where we didn't really have any zonal markers there. So that's why it's a good set piece. And the only one you can arguably blame, unless the players didn't do what they were meant to do, is, I suppose, Anthony Barry, because that's what happened today against us. And maybe that's something that Villa noticed and worked on. We have a bulk of people very close to our goal, then no one for a good 5 yards, and then 1 or 2 players at the edge of the box.
Yeah, and that's what happens when you do half zonal and half man mark, because the big guys will be in zones, and then the smaller guys like your Asbys will be on the bigger guys like Mings. So no one's going to pick up Traore because he's not really a threat from aerial situations. So
yeah,
it's just a good set piece, man. We just have to take that on the chin.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if we did it, it's just a good set piece. Sometimes you just need to take it on the chin. But that's why, obviously, sometimes a corner will happen. Sometimes a free kick will happen. But that's why you need to make sure you don't give away easy set pieces. And that's what Thiago did there. Hence why me and Con were both not particularly happy with it. And people, I mean, I know Jorginho wasn't great, but to say now, we lost because of Jorginho. I know he gave the penalty away, sure. But to say now we lost because of Jorginho is a bit silly. Everyone was shocking. Not aside from maybe Chilwell and partly Aspi for me. But everyone else was pretty dreadful. So to say, it's only because of Jorginho, I think it's a bit silly. But hey ho, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. And I suppose Rudiger, I don't know, give him a 5.5 like Reece, maybe.
I think he was one of the better defenders today. I'd give him a 6. I think he was the best from the back line.
I suppose, because Reece obviously had that poor period when he was playing in midfield, I guess. But it just almost feels like that's too high. Maybe we should drop them all down by 1 and give them I don't know.
If you think of the goals today,
it's like, really do much. Do you know what I mean? We gave away a pen. They scored 1 goal. Other than that, they didn't do nothing.
Yeah,
and that's the story of every game we play.
Yeah, so I think it's harsh if we gave them too low of a score because they didn't do much wrong today. A pen and a corner, it's not really on them. And even when we went down to 10 men, we still looked decent, And even when we switched their back 4, they still did a job. The ones who were still on, so. I think 6 for Rudiger would be fair. Maybe a 5.5, 6.
Yeah. I don't know. No, but I do actually agree because Reece really wasn't good for the first 20 minutes of being in midfield or 10 minutes of being in midfield. So I think just for that reason, he can't have the same rating as Rudiger for me. But I suppose next we get to Chile. For me, man of the match of our side, obviously not overall man of the match, but from our side, obviously scored the goal, nearly scored an equaliser as well, if not for a great save with his legs by Martinez. Chile did really good. By far our best player, in my opinion.
I think
7, 8. I'm honestly, because I do actually think all of our players were dreadful. I'm genuinely thinking maybe all of these guys are at least 0.5 too high. Maybe not Mendy because didn't do nothing, but I just feel like our build-up play was nowhere near good enough for our centre backs to get such a high rating.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Chilwell today was good for the second half. First half, I don't think he was as good. I remember him running the ball out of play, some sloppy passes, but he was probably the one looking most likely to do something, and he's our left wing back and not an attacking player, so that goes for him, I guess.
Yeah,
I can't give any player an 8 today.
I still think even in the first half, whenever we did anything, it was all created by runs of fullbacks, not anything any of the front 3 or midfield 2 did. It was only ever created by them. Only ever runs that they made that opened up space. Even Mason's big chance was opened up by Aspi run. Of course, a brilliant Jorginho over the top ball, but he can only play that ball if Aspi makes the run, right? But I suppose he could play it otherwise, but that is just a goal kick. And I think Chile was at that. Maybe an 8 is a bit too much, but that's what I'm thinking. I would maybe give Chile a 7 and drop 4.5 seems a bit harsh for Chile for Silva. Maybe what about we drop Reece to a 5, Rudiger to a 5.5. And then we give Chile a 7.
To be fair, I'd rather give Chile the 7.5.
Off you go then. Fair play. Let's be positive. We qualified for the Champions League, even though we didn't do it ourselves. But I actually realised we skipped Aspi. What did you give him? Also, what did you make of the red card that he got?
It was silly, man. I think he knows that. I think if we're just judging it by the game, because I know at that time we knew he was probably through. But if we're just judging it by the game, it's stupid from him. Extremely stupid for him to do that. So that's got to knock him down to a 4. Regardless, even though he was pretty good today, I feel. But that has to knock him down to a 4. You can't be getting reds for stupid things like that. You just can't. It doesn't matter what minute the game is.
Exactly. I mean, hey, it's probably the best time to get it is probably in the last game of the season in the 88th minute. But still, don't do it. I'm still confused by what this little cast type thing is that he's wearing. But yeah, it's not a thing that should happen as a captain. But also, I'm like, the bench should have just told them the other result, because then they wouldn't have lost their heads as much. So I think it's a group effort for me. So it's like, I guarantee if he knows the Tottenham result and he doesn't think we're currently 5th, he doesn't do that for me. Obviously, can you go tell every player from the bench? Probably not, but still, maybe it's something to do. But yeah, it's just silly. But overall, I still think aside from that, I think he had a decent game. I know people say, oh, why isn't Reece James playing right wing back? Technically, obviously, Reece James is so far superior. But I just don't think Reece has the drive. And I know it sounds silly, but I just don't think Reece has the offensive drive to get into positions that Azpi gets in. And that offers us a lot of width and space that we never get when Reece plays right wing back.
Yeah, no, you're right there. Like, Azpi finds himself in more dangerous areas. The only time I feel like we see the best out of Reece James at right wing back is when Hudson-Odoi is in front of him. I feel like him and Cho play well together. So, but other than that, yeah, he's a bit passive for me at times. Yeah,
no, that's true. And I mean, first of all, I doubt it, but secondly, maybe, but we would have conceded 6. So, it's one of those. Yeah, but what rating do we give him? Obviously, the red card, but it was so late that I'm not sure how much of an influence of the rating I'll give. Obviously, not as good as Chile, but still, both our wingbacks were, in my opinion, our best players. So I would say 7. I'll be okay with 6.5 because of the red, though.
I don't know, man. I really want to give him like a 5 or something. Because if you're just thinking
of the what about, for example, the cutback to Mason? Do you know what I mean? That's one of our biggest chances we had today.
I know, but that red card for me, it's just a player of his sort of experience. It's just when you're losing the game, just getting sent off. It's just so silly. It's so silly.
That is true. I mean, the red card, I suppose, yeah, if you want to treat it very harshly. Well, I suppose then if you want to go 5, and with what I said, I suppose a 6 it is then in compromise, I suppose.
Yeah.
Even though I think it's very harsh for him to be the same as Rudiger, who did nothing positive all evening, I thought. Not that he was necessarily shocking, but I didn't see him do anything good. But hey, it is what it is. And, oh boy, them midfield too. They both had an absolute stinker. Like, we've rarely seen a midfield, a double pivot play as badly as the combination of those two did today. I mean, Jorginho had some decent passes, sure, but he gives the penalty away, gets himself booked, gets himself riled up with other people. Him and Kovacic weren't working at all together today. Like, they were passing to each other and they were so closely marked. It was just not working. They were both really bad. And to be honest, personally, I think they're both equally as bad as each other. I know Georgie gave the ball away, and gave the pen away. But Kovacic literally nearly cost us 2 goals by losing the ball in such stupid positions. I would probably, like Clutch says, I would maybe give them both a 2, at the max a 3.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I could give Jorginho a 2 after his XG on his own was like 1.39. He created a lot more than what people think today. So to say that would give him a 2. I don't know, because the penalty's massive, isn't it? The penalty's
that's a fair point, but how can the maybe I don't know exactly how that part of XG works, and please elaborate on if you can explain it to me. But it didn't assist any direct chance, as far as I was aware. Right? Obviously, he played that over like I've mentioned a couple of times already, the over the top chip ball to Azpi, who cut it back to Mason, who then skied it sadly. But that was the only real chance I remember him creating. There was a real chance. But so I don't really get where this 1.39 comes from. Maybe 2 is a bit harsh, but I don't know. You can't give a pen away, and we had no control in midfield today. I think they were both just really poor.
I don't know. Like for me, Georgie in the first half was really good, but then there was a point, I think just after the goal or something like that, it just snapped and his head went. Because he was tackling Grealish the most. Like, I think he tackled Grealish 3 times in the first 15 minutes. Like, for when Reece was getting done, J5 was there picking up the pieces, you know? So I think he was better than Cover today, but then the penalty... It's that penalty. If he doesn't give that penalty away, like, his game isn't the best, but it's not as bad as people is alluding it to, you know?
Oh no, I agree. 100%. I agree with that. But I mean, you just wanted to give Aspi a 5
Yeah,
because of a red card in
I knew he was going
88th
to say
minute.
that. Yeah, I knew he was going to say that.
So,
What are you
I mean,
thinking?
if you want to give him a 4, fair enough.
You thinking 4?
No, well, I'm thinking 3 still, but I'm thinking maybe you want to do a 4. Oh, well, no, just ignore me for a second. What rating would just you give him? And then we find a compromise between us two.
I'd probably give him a 4-ish.
But
4-ish,
is that
3.5.
including what I said or excluding what I said?
I think it's included. I can't not hear it now. I've heard it, you know.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Like, it's that
Okay.
in a game of this magnitude, you can't be giving penalties away like that, man. You just can't.
Yeah, no, it's true. Before I put the rating now, because so probably we find it easier to decide. What rating would we then give Cover? Because Cover just had a really bad day. Like he got dispossessed in so many dangerous areas. His dribbling was dreadful. Like some of his touches in his dribbling was so bad. Like he literally passed the ball like 10 yards in front of him and tried to run after it like a mad dog. A couple of times it worked because the Villa players just fell over. But essentially, if it worked, he just got lucky. Like what is he doing? Playing the ball so far in front of himself. Absolute howler and did nothing productive going forward either. Obviously, he had a few nice looking dribbles again, as he does, which is why some people would probably say was great, but he wasn't. I mean, I would say with the pen, I'd probably give them the same rating, personally, like Georgie and Cover. But what about you, Con?
I think he made like 4 or 5 tackles today, Cover.
Do we see it as a good or a bad thing?
I think that's. I don't think he was great, for sure, but I don't think it's as bad as people were saying. I think it's just because of how good Cover can be. Today, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying
let me ask
good.
you a question, and I don't want to sound condescending at all. Really, I really don't. But we both agree that we were really poor. But for every player so far, you've said he did this good and he did that good. I'm like, well, how were we really poor then?
No, yeah, you're right. No, you're right. You're right.
Because, like, you're not wrong. Obviously, see, that's the weird thing. Obviously, because we're Chelsea, right? And our average performance level is so high that when for us is poor, there will still be some good stats, if that makes sense. Obviously, a poor performance by Sheffield United will be much worse than this today, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But still, in the grand scheme of things, of what the team needed to do today to beat Aston Villa, they just didn't do it, if that makes sense.
I think when judging the attackers, I think that's where I can be more decisive. But I just find it really hard to put these guys down this much when Villa really created nothing today. They scored from a corner and a pen, and they probably had like one other chance. So as bad as people think our defensive line and the midfielders were, they weren't really that bad because we still created a ton as well. Because in my mind, I'm not blaming the midfielders and defenders today. I don't think it's their fault we lost. I think it's the guys in front. We should have had the game 2-0 up before we even gave away the first goal, sorry. Should have been 2-0.
No, I 100% agree with that. I agree with that. But I still think after we went 1-0 down, the whole team lost it. And then started the second half until we went 2-0 down, the whole team was bad. And I think until... Was the Kai chance before we got one back or was it after? I think after. So I think until the equalizer, we pretty much didn't have a single actual goal-scoring chance in the whole second half. Like I know we had them early in the game, first half hour. But I think until we got a goal back, we did nothing for like 30 minutes of that game. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but then yeah, I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying there, Laurenz. It's just maybe for cover standards, yeah, he could have done a hell of a lot better. It's just I would give him what we giving Georgie?
Yeah, do you want to give one of them a higher rating than the other?
I want to give Cover a 0.5 higher than Georgie.
All right. Well, then I let you decide either 3.5 and 4 or 4 and 5.5. F and 4.5. Or would you want to go 5.5, 4.5 and 5? I think that's too high. We can't give Cover a 5.
Just looking at the other ratings. 3.54, maybe.
Oh, there you go. I thought you were going to make me go higher.
It's just hard. I'm very conflicted, but I get what you're saying. I think I've got a massive bias towards them too as well. So I always
I
look
get
for
that
the
as well
good.
because you kind of talked me into not giving them as low as 3.5. You know.
So I always
So,
look
you
for
know,
the good
let's
of their
do 4 and
performance.
4.5. You know, let's do 4 and 4.5.
Yeah.
Although I still think they should both be a 4. You know.
You think Georgie was just that much better besides the pen?
No,
Because I'm not saying you're
0.5.
wrong there.
And the pen, I would just like take off 0.5 of a point. Or would you say the pen is a full point?
That pen loses us the game. That's massive.
True. It's true. Yeah, maybe that. Hey, chat, with 240 people watching, put it in the chat. What would your 2 ratings for Kovacic and Jorginho be? Because we're struggling. I now put 4 for Jorginho, 4.5 for Kova. It's a tough one for me. It's a tough one. By the way, guys, I haven't mentioned this in a while now. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. 230 people watching. That means there's probably a fair few of you that haven't subscribed. Go down below, click that big ass red subscribe button, and do subscribe. Of course, check out Con on Twitter. Help my beautiful friend here reach 100,000 followers. So go down, link is in the description, follow him, and smash the like button as well. Let me see how many likes we have, because we definitely don't have anywhere near enough. So let me go check. 62 likes. You're taking the Michael, guys. Come on. We have 230 people watching and only 62 likes. Get at least 150 likes right now. Go down below, smash the like button. Doesn't cost you any time, doesn't cost you any money. And hey, as much as the performance was dreadful, we're still in the Champions League next season, no matter what happens next Saturday. So it's still a good day. So make sure you smash the like button for that. What am I seeing here? 3.5, 3.5, 3 for Georgie, 3.5 for Kova, Georgie 4, Kova 3.5, 3 and 4, 4 and 5, 3 for both, 3.5.
See,
I
that's
think we've got it roughly.
This is where I'm like so torn on it though, because just think about what chances Villa's had. Like, I know we gave away yellow cards and stuff, but we stopped turning. Like, when they got the ball and tried to break, we stopped it really good at times throughout the game. I saw one person say we lost the midfield battle. That's just nonsense. We didn't. We controlled the game throughout, and it was just 2 silly mistakes from Jorginho and Silva.
True.
That's why I'm so conflicted, because as much as they
we
weren't
didn't do
good,
enough. Like it was control, but pointless control for a large part of that game. That's the problem, I think.
But at one point, when we took J5 off, like, we had so many attackers on the pitch. We can't really have a go at Kov and Jorginho for not creating when they've got millions worth of talent in front of them. You know? Like, I just find that really hard. I know some people disagree with me on that, and that's fine. If you feel like Kov and Georgie need to create more, then that's fine. I'm on the opposite of that. I don't feel like it's really their job, but I'm not going to have a go if you think the opposite. But for me personally, it's hard giving players 3.5 when we did control the game and we controlled the midfield for large parts and stopped a lot of their counters.
But I mean, the counters is a fair point, but I do agree with TK13 here to some extent.
But yes, I said about stopping the counters. That's what I said about stopping. Like,
no.
How many times did we get caught?
No, you're right. We didn't. We weren't much. But is that enough? Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
That's giving the front players a high rating for pressing. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. This one,
Maybe
Laurenz,
not quite the same,
I'll leave it to you. This one, I'll leave it to you on this one. I trust you on this because I'm too conflicted to give an answer.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I think we're not too far off with 4 and 4.5. Like those are low ratings, but not like absolutely shocking. Do you know what I mean? In terms of what you're talking about, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Or would you want to go another 0.5 higher for each?
I'm trusting you, bro. You've got this. I believe it.
Okay, let's get to the front three. No point to get too hung up on these 2 ratings now anyway. Hey, at the end of the day, by tomorrow, it won't even matter anymore. We're just here to share our thoughts. Mason Mount. Jester especially, won't like it. I think him and Pulisic were equally as poor. Maybe Mount a tad better. I know Jester disagrees. I'm sorry, Jester. I love you, but the difference is Pulisic looks always more annoyed with himself when some things doesn't work. But Mount, when he does something wrong, looks like he tries everything in his power to make it right. Doesn't always work, but there's at least a mentality that I see a positive thing from. When Pulisic does something wrong, he just seems annoyed. And I hate it when footballers seem annoyed. Be annoyed after final whistle, not during the game. I have no time for you to be annoyed. I have absolutely no time for this. That's sometimes I struggle with. That's a thing that Pulisic does. And I have to say, no, true, Pulisic did have an assist, but it's a pointless assist. But the assist, sure. But in terms of the actual game, we'll get to the ratings anyway. But in terms of the actual game, I think Pulisic did nothing other than a silly overhead kick and the assist. Did Mount do much more other than missed chances? No. But Mount just puts more effort in. And it triggers me that Pulisic doesn't put more effort in. But both were poor for me. Both were poor. I would give... Let's start with Mount. I would give him a 4.
I'm not going to lie to you, Laurenz. I know my ratings for all three, and it'd be a 2, 2, and a 3. Mount a 2, Werner a 2, and Pulisic a 3. I'm done with these guys. If they perform like that at the Champions League final, I'm fully done with them because they're losing us games by not scoring goals. I know Mount tries hard and he tries to make things happen, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. We need him to make things happen, not try. We need him to do it. And he had 2 good chances today. Not like half chance. He had 2 good. And he bottled both.
What was the first one he had?
I think the first one was the Jorginho one. No, the first one was the volley. He could have either passed it to Chilwell, but he tried to do some sort of volley on the outside of his foot and hit it well wide. That was before he's won before the
Azpi cutback, you mean?
Yeah. No, before the Azpi cutback, he had a volley that went well wide.
I can't remember that.
And then he had a block shot as well after that.
Yeah, the block shot, he should have taken the shot quicker, 100%.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm sorry, but you don't score, you don't win games. And why is it Ben Chilwell scoring only goal in the game when all of them guys had a chance today to score and they didn't? And I'm bored of it, Laurenz. I'm bored of every week saying the same stuff about these players. I'm bored. I'd give a 2, 2, and 3. The only reason I'm giving Pulisic a 3 is because he got an assist. I would happily give him a 2, but if someone gets a goal contribution, I think they should get at least a 0.5 higher. But that's my thoughts on them. So I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, he tried." It's not good enough. I don't care. They try.
Yeah, it's weird because you're right in a sense. No, not in a sense. You're right with everything you say. But why, for me, it's not as easy as blaming everything on them is because these 3 players are all young. Jorginho and Kovacic are not. So I'm much more lenient towards these types of things from young players than I am of experienced players, which is why my words were harsher about Jorginho and Kova than they are about Mount, even though my rating of them would be similar. That's why I would have personally given him a 4. Then
you have to take into context, Laurenz, that Jorginho's been run into the ground. Nagolo has been getting rest. Jorginho's the one who's always playing. I know he's had like 1 or 2 games rest, but he's been
that
playing
can be said for Mount all the same.
But Mount's young. That should go in his advantage. He's not.
Yeah, but Jorginho is not even 30, so
Jorginho covers more ground every game than Mount does, and that's just fact.
But slower. That's a big difference. Like the high level managers like Tuchel, Pep, they kind of ignore how much ground you cover. It's more about how much ground did you cover sprinting because
how often does Jorginho get a clean sheet compared to Mount?
No. I'm not even saying Jorginho is worse or whatever. I'm just saying.
I don't know. I think he's a 2
inconsistencies
today,
are more understandable. I think 2 is a bit harsh. Personally.
What did he do that gets higher? In a game we need to win, and you bottle chances. If Tottenham don't win today, I think the energy for them attackers is different. Because if we don't get top 4, they're getting scapegoated to hell. I think because Tottenham win, people are a bit more lenient. But let's say Tottenham didn't win. I think our minds would be... I think if you just look on this game, and let's say we lost this, if this was a must-win, and they bottle chances like that, you just can't allow that to happen, you know? You just can't. And I'm more annoyed at Mount with, that first shot he took, where Chilwell was free at the back post, and he doesn't pick his head up. Why after 2 years is he still not picking his head up? I don't understand. Pick your head up once, man. I beg, please. And I've really turned on him this season as well. I didn't really rate him much last season. I think everyone knows that. But this season, I love him. But I can't justify that performance from him because it was horrible. It was horrible, man.
Yeah, I mean, you make some... I still think a 2 is a bit harsh. But
it's giving away a penalty just as bad as missing a massive chance in the game. I think so.
No. And I have a logical explanation for this, because if you miss a chance at 0-0, it's still 0-0. So you still need one goal to go 1-0 up. If you give a penalty away and you concede, you're 1-0 down. So you need 2 goals to still win.
But the penalty is not
actually
guaranteed to
giving
go
the penalty
in.
away is less bad than missing a chance.
No, but the penalty is not guaranteed to go in, though. That's the thing.
Well, sure, but that, obviously.
Okay, 2 big chances then. Does that equate to a penalty being given away?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Mount's got a high standard for himself now. And if we're going to hold him to that standard today, we just got to say it was a really poor day for him. Unless we're just going to change energies and don't rate him. Like, we either rate him as this wonder kid or we rate him as, like, just a good player. Like, we can't just keep changing it to fit, like, to mollycoddle him, you know? I don't think he would want that. He wouldn't want people saying, like, oh, it's all right, you tried today. No, he wants people to be hard on him. You learn from your mistakes as a young player. And today he will learn from this, no doubt. But today he was poor. And if he gets higher than the 3, like, I can't give him higher than the 3 personally. If you want to, that's more.
No. I mean, hey, you said 2. I would have, with everything you said, because it made a lot of sense, I would probably have said 3. Maybe 3.5. But you're then leaning at least to the 2.5, aren't you?
Yeah.
I still think Mount. I will get to Werner, but Werner is a weird one for me today. I'll get to it in a minute. Let's give Mount the 2.5 for now. Let's give Pulisic the 3 because I agree with you, but I don't think an assist that didn't change the losing result gets you a full point more. And I don't think on actual performance he was better. I think they were equally as poor as each other because sure, Mount missed chances. Pulisic didn't even have any other than his silly overhead kick. So, does that make you any better? When he was the more forward player of the 2. So, that's my logic why I don't think Pulisic never has chances. Like, oh no, he had a chance as well today. I forgot. He did. And now he bought 2. I'm fuming. Anyway.
I forgot about that as well. I forgot, yeah.
Bigger
right.
I mean, to be fair, he got blocked. So, but I think it would have gone straight for the keeper again because there was no power on the effort at all. Johnny isn't having it at all. Do you know Johnny, Con?
Yeah. See, the thing is with Johnny, I hear this. He praises Mount to the high heavens. Like, I'm Pulisic's biggest fanboy. I think everybody will know that. I love Pulisic with my heart. But when he has a stinker, I will say he had a stinker, Like, if you're just never going to criticize your fanboy player, what's the point, man? If you can't hear any criticism of him, what's the point? There's no point talking to someone about it if they're that narrow-minded. Like, you have to be open to hearing the other side, And it's not hearing me saying he's a rubbish player, because I'm not. The fact I'm saying he was so bad today just shows how I rate him. If I didn't think nothing of him, I'd be like, yeah, he worked hard today, And I'd be like, oh, maybe a 4 because he worked hard. But I'm saying like 2 or 3 because for someone of his standard, it wasn't a good game.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Before we get to Werner, and aside from today's game, especially because I know you like Pulisic a lot, do you also find it super frustrating that Pulisic, even though he plays one of our most defensive positions usually, so rarely finds himself with goal-scoring chances? Or do you even not agree with that consensus that he doesn't find himself with enough goal-scoring chances?
I was thinking about that, I actually was talking about that like a few minutes ago. I was thinking about that in my head and thinking, why is he rarely in these places to score? Because with the Mount one,
today, that's true.
Just with the Mount one, like the one Mount missed, Pulisic was there. If Mount doesn't shoot that, I think Pulisic does as well. So I don't know what's up with Pulisic, Laurenz, to be honest, because this guy on his days, like I said, he's top 5 Premier League wingers, but what is he doing these last few weeks, man? Who can defend them performances from him? He can't. He can barely stand up. It feels like his confidence is just dropped. I don't know what's going on in his head. It's not the same Pully we can see, It's not the best of Pully. Do you know when he came on against Madrid, how hot he looked? He looks far from that right now, and I don't know why. I just don't get it. He's slow on the ball. He's not really driving, and when he is, it's like so predictable. Do you know when he just stands up? He's going to go that way, or he's just going to pass back. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. And it's really annoying me because of how much I rate him.
Yeah, no, I get it. And, I mean, people in the comments are saying even though, aside from the assist, they wouldn't give Pulisic a higher rating. That's the only reason. I would give them the same rating, but he got an assist. Hence why he gets a 0.5 higher. That's the only reason. for me. I mean, some people seem to think he was still worse, even with the assist. Fair enough. I think they were just both awful, so it's difficult to judge who was worse of the two. And as we talk about Werner now, obviously missed the ball in the middle of the box, which should be a goal. Dreadful, right? Shocking. How are you missing the ball? Scored an offside goal, but this time, to be fair, it wasn't him that was offside, so, we'll let him off a little bit. But what frustrated me today, and maybe he does this all the time and I notice it less, and I just noticed it today, but I feel like I saw Werner making at least 15, if not 20 runs, and no one played him the pass. No one. And I swear 2 years ago, those are half a chance were created by those types of kind of flick, chipped, over-the-top balls. Half a chance were created like this. But there were so many times, Aspie, Pulisic, Mason, Ziyech when he came on, Georgie and Kova as well. Werner makes these run after run after run after run. He times them. Like, he runs when it makes sense for the player to pass it. But then they take another touch, and then they take another touch, and by then he's offside. And sometimes they play him, but then he's offside. And I'm not saying now Werner was great or whatever. And it's difficult to judge those, obviously. But I find it very worrying between Timo and his teammates on both sides that we are now 38 Premier League games in, and in all competitions, over 50 games into this season, with Werner rarely being injured, so playing pretty much all of them, and then still being absolutely zero understanding between all of our players and Timo's runs. Like, that is a seriously worrying thing, in my opinion. Because how can it be that he's played like 50 games and still the other players don't know when he's going to make a run? Like, that makes no sense. Are all of our other players just stupid? And I know Werner misses all these chances, and we can talk about him being offside so much, but I guarantee that both him and Morata would be offside half as much if Fabregas played behind them.
I agree.
So, I mean, I don't even want to say now Werner is good all of a sudden.
The two I can remember is like Asby, and Werner he made a great run and he just ignored him. He kept driving with the ball, and
then he played it like 2 seconds later when it was pointless. Yeah,
and then Kai, when he cut in, instead of passed it to Werner. So yeah, he's a player who's always going to make that run, and for a team that knows that, I think us fans know that. Why can't his teammates see it? And if we're being honest today, I think Werner created a fair bit, like them back post crosses he was doing. They were good. The missing of the ball, man, I really wanted to hurt myself when I saw that, but he's creating stuff, and out of the three, he probably sort of was the most dangerous at times. And he did score today. That's not his fault. Asby is offside. Asby should have held his run for like a second.
Yeah.
So maybe after like hearing what you said and really thinking about the game and what Werner did, maybe I think he's on par with Pully, because I think he was better than Mount today, and I think he did create a fair bit.
I think he was better than Pully personally.
I think he was better than Pully, but Pully has that assist, don't he?
I know, but and if you disagree, that's fair enough. Why I say this is because my problem wasn't. I mean, sure, some of the finishes, but my problem that aside from a couple of cutback situations, we didn't get into enough attacking positions. And that's not the most furthest forward player's fault. That's the fault of the players a little bit further back. Hence why Mount and Pulisic, plus Georgie and Kova for me. Hence why I think he was better than both of them. Or less at fault than both of them. Aside from missing obviously the ball.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I suppose he didn't really have many chances today, if you think back on it. And he did create, like I said, he did create a fair bit.
It's weird.
I think I agree with you there, actually. I think, I do agree with you. I think if we just really think about the game today, I think Werner was the best out of the attack. And when we say that, when none of them have scored, we know how bad the attack's been. Just want to point that out.
Yeah.
But
before we decide on a rating, shout out to Jester, first of all, for the donation, saying shameless plug. Hey, do all your shameless plugs you want, my bro. Saying have to go recording a podcast on worldwide, can't talk, worldwide Chelsea pods. Check it out when it gets published. Do so. Check out the worldwide Chelsea pods with Jester. Big up Laurenz, big up Con. Thank you a lot, and of course appreciate the donation as ever. The rating, I'm just still that 2.5 for Mad is still not sitting right with me. And I know Pulisic got an assist, but yeah, I don't know. I'd probably like to give both of them a 3 and Werner 3.5, but I get the assist. But I still think I want to give Werner a higher rating than Pulisic. I know. Do you disagree, or would you be okay with him getting the 3.5?
I think the fairest way, to be honest, would be a 3 for Mount, a 3.5 for Pully, and a 4 for Werner. I think that would be a bit more fair.
3.5 for Pully and 4 for Werner.
Yeah, I feel that'd be a bit more fair. Because when I'm seeing Mount on that 2.5, now I'm thinking that could be a bit harsh.
Yeah, I still this. I know he got the assist, but I'm like, this is. I mean, I know we did it for Chile with the goal, I suppose, but I'm like, Chile's a wing back, so a goal is more. I don't know, but it's like, okay, he got an assist, but we were already 2-0 down. What was Pulisic doing until we were 2-0 down? Nothing. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm like, well, great, he got an assist, but it was way too late.
I agree with you there. But I didn't see enough from Mount today to justify him being the same rating as Son, who got an assist.
No, it's fair. It's fair. But on whose popularity? Because I think you see people's popularity very differently to me, personally. But hey, because I always rate Jorginho higher than everybody else does. So I clearly don't do that on popularity. But hey, fair dues. I suppose Kepa, we do the same with Mendy because didn't do nothing and conceded. So a 5, I suppose. Still hoping that Mendy's back fit for the Champions League final. Ziyech, I think, came on and was our best forward. That cross over to Chile when Chile nearly made it 2-2 was an outrageous outside of the foot cross.
Yeah, no, it was.
Give him a 4.5, 5, because he only played for 20 minutes or whatever. Or what would you give Ziyech, mate?
Just trying to think. He didn't have long, but he did look good. Yeah, he did look good. Yeah. No, I'd be happy with that. What you said. Yeah.
But 4.5 or 5?
So hard today to give these ratings.
I'd give him a 5 personally. But tell me what
you want to give. Yeah, I think that's fair. He came on and he did more good. And I don't think he did much wrong. So I think 5 is very fair.
I mean, 7 is a bit much, mate. But you know, the weird thing is, Ziyech is almost becoming also super sub. But he never. But only assisting wise, and then his teammates don't score his good plays from when he comes on the bench. From the bench, it's really frustrating. And Kai, I don't know, 4, 3.5. He didn't really do much. Had one chance, but can't really be blamed too much for missing it because he got shoved in the back. I don't know. Well, what rating will you give Kai?
I think Kai looked all right when he came on. I think.
Yeah,
I think he looked all right.
I say this all the time. Maybe you don't know, Conto. Late on in the game, obviously, I have to start preparing the stream, so I'm kind of looking back and forth. So sometimes I miss small things towards the end. So that's why on the late subs, I'm sometimes a little bit different to someone that was able to pay full attention. So if you say he did look good, I'll go with you there, bro.
Yeah, I think maybe a 4, 4.5, maybe a 5 actually. I feel harsh.
But then we have to give Ziyech a high. I think Ziyech has to be higher than Kai, surely.
I don't know. Like, if you come off the bench, I know the team was poor, but with such little minutes they had today, I feel it would be very harsh to give them like a 4 because you're sort of like giving them a negative then, isn't it? That's how I see it. Like 5 and above is like good, and then 5 and below, 4 and below is like a bad game. And I don't think he came on and looked bad, so I think 5.
All right. Well, then I'm making an executive decision of giving Ziyech a 6, and then we can give Kai a 5. Just because if by that logic that you made, which is fair logic, to be honest, unless you do something wrong, can you really be lower than a 5? Fair enough. But I think Kai was just bang average and Ziyech did good things from what I saw.
Yeah.
Or more good things, at least. And Tuchel is a tough one today to get to Tuchel's rating because, and I almost forgot to touch on it again, because AMZ, I think, put it in the chat earlier. Can you really blame oh no, can you really blame? But is some of why the front three weren't better today because they were not the right front three for today's game? And yes, that's true. But the problem is our other front three options, while Kai isn't fit to start, aren't any better. That's the problem we have. That's why we need to sign a new striker. That's literally it. Because Giroud ain't it. He can't even play full 90 anymore. Tammy has lost God knows where. And so he's not used, which I still think, if you asked me 4 months ago who should play up top against Aston Villa, I would have said Tammy.
Yeah.
Or Kai, but who should play up top if Kai isn't fit to start? I would have said Tammy. And I still think that today, obviously because he hasn't played for so long, it wouldn't have been a good idea, but it's still frustrating. But because Kai was not fit to start, Kante wasn't on the bench, how much blame can Tuchel really take? Like, his subs made sense. They were quite early in terms of risking it. Like, obviously Tuchel can't get a crazy high rating because we still lost and the performance was poor, but I think Tuchel has to get a higher rating than people think, and certainly higher than a 2, because the lineup made sense. All of us kind of agreed with it.
Tuchel
the subs made sense. It's not his fault the players don't score, and that Georgie gives a pen away, and that we can't. Well, and even the defending a set pieces, that's actually on Anthony Barry, not Tuchel himself. So,
yeah, a 2's ludicrous. No, there's no way there's a 2. Come on, that's silly now. That's silly.
Yeah, I would say, I don't know, 5 or 6, something like 5. Because we lost.
Yeah, because I think the biggest mistake really would be the Ferner at striker, wouldn't it? But then, like you said, the options, we've got Giroud, who everyone... This is the problem. This is what I said not too long ago, right? It doesn't matter who Tuchel starts up front. People will always moan. Regardless, they will always moan. And if Giroud played today and the same result, oh, why didn't we play Werner with Werner? We look better when we play with Werner. It'd be 100%. And
it's the same thing with Tammy as well at the moment. Yeah. Like, all of these players talking about, all of these people talking about, Tammy needs to play and why is he not playing? That's because he hasn't played. That's why we're saying this. We would be better with Tammy. If Tammy would be playing, we're saying we would be better if he didn't play. It goes like that every time. I swear, every single time. Bit of an L from me. We were on way over 300 people watching. And I forgot to say to subscribe. But still nearly 300 people watching. So subscribe if you haven't already. Smash that bloody like button. Let's get to 150 likes at least. Go down below. Really, honestly, it doesn't cost you any time. It doesn't cost you any money. Just click that little like button. It helps me out a lot. I appreciate it a lot. Because if you don't understand how YouTube works, so YouTube loves likes on things. Because then it sees, okay, there's so and so many people watching this. And it has quite a lot of likes in comparison to how many viewers it has. So it must be quite good. So we should probably recommend it to other people who don't know the channel. And that's how us content creators grow. So if you could smash the like button, that would honestly be massively appreciated. Like Jay said, big up yourself, Jay. Big up yourself. Anyway, so we never finished the rating. Would you agree on a 5 rating for Tuchel Con, or would you go any higher or lower than
that? I would go for a 6 personally. I think he made good subs. He didn't leave it too long to bring the subs on, and he changed. To be honest,
I don't disagree with you. Yeah, you're right. It almost looked silly, but it's not his fault today. The only thing you can say is the motivation thing. But like I said earlier in the stream already, are we going to blame the 5th manager in a row for not motivating the team?
Yeah.
Or should we start criticizing the players? Anyway, and to an overall performance, it can't be any higher than, and I know the player ratings don't suggest that, but it can't be any higher than a 4 at the very maximum.
What's this for? Team performance?
Yeah, just the overall game.
We lost the game we needed to win, so yeah. I'd say about a 3.
Yeah, no, honestly, I would agree. But because of some of the players, you were like almost upset at how low I wanted to rate them. I was like, maybe you're not going to let me have a 3, so I said 4. But I suppose a 3 it is. And because we're now done with talking about the negatives, let's talk about the positives. So about Tottenham. Because Harry Kane, Gareth Bale, Kasper Schmeichel with an own goal, they quite literally bailed us out. I always hated Gareth Bale. Big fan of him today. Come on yourself. And, everyone's saying he's washed. Yeah, he's not washed at the King Power. Maybe they cleaned him before. I don't know. But, or dried him, whatever the opposite is. Anyway, thank you, Tottenham. Again, I said it at the beginning. I'll say it again now. Cheers. Appreciate that because, hey, Saturday will be tough enough as it is. I really didn't need the extra pressure of needing to win to be in the Champions League next season. I really didn't need that. Obviously, if we still win, mind you, we're still going to be in pot 1 next season. So we still have, there's still more than just the trophy that's great about winning next week, right? But at least we don't have that pressure on it. And again, thanks to Tottenham, nothing from us that happened, right? But still, it's just a little bit reflect on the season, because obviously I'll do that after the Champions League final in a separate stream. Maybe we'll have Con on that anyway. But what a weird season, eh? Like, started meh, then got great, top of the league December 5th, and then it got as bad as it's gotten in a long time at Chelsea. Change managers. First game was the dullest game I've ever seen against Wolves. But not the criticism of Tuchel, but it was still the dullest game I've ever seen, I think. Aside from maybe, do you remember that 1-0 defeat away at Swansea under Gus Hiddink in the season after Jose got sacked? Do you remember that game?
Who scored for them?
I don't know. I just remember I've never been as bored and disappointed watching a Chelsea game as that game.
Clearly, you haven't watched us in Europa League.
Yeah, exactly. But it's it's been a weird season. But we can make a weird season where we're kind of not sure how we made top 4 into one of the best seasons, the second best season in history, by winning next Saturday. And I know it doesn't look like we're going to after our performance today, performance in the FA Cup final, performance against Arsenal. But hey, crazier things have happened. And maybe just Man City shot all of their gunpowder out today. And they've got nothing left for Saturday. So unlucky for them, I suppose. You never know. You can hope. I don't know who you are, Brio. I don't know. You're saying this as if I know you. Maybe I should know you. I do apologize. But hi. You like my accent? I don't even know what my accent is. Some weird mix of English, London, whatever, and foreigner. Anyway. Yeah. How do you, like, just a small, quick reflection? Like, is it also just like, it feels weird? Like, it's just such a weird season, wasn't it?
No, yeah, you're right. The highs and lows, seeing the greatest player in our history get sacked from the club, seeing Tuchel come in, get us to a Champions League final, losing on the last day. It's just Chelsea, isn't it? Like, we are one of the few clubs that it's never normal anymore. Not one season's normal, and it wouldn't surprise me if we won the Champions League. It really wouldn't. After losing today and then we just win the champ, it really wouldn't surprise me with Chelsea. And it's why you love the club, innit? And hopefully next season, fans can come back. We can have a bit more normality in football. It was a bit weird watching games on TV all season with fake crowd noise and stuff like that. It wasn't right.
See, I watched football. They never had fake crowd noises, so I never had that. So yeah, I suppose that's that. Yeah, it's just been weird. And like you say, we don't do normal seasons. Not a thing.
1 minute we beat Real Madrid, the next we're losing 5-2 to West Brom. It's just Chelsea, isn't it?
Then we're losing to bloody Arsenal. Bloody hell. Can't hack it. Just because I thought it was an interesting question by Why Japper? No, not Japper. Why Japs? Ski. Come on to ski. Anyway, if you and Con had to sign 3 realistic players, who would you sign? But Con giving you one stipulation. Jack Grealish cannot be one of them.
Wait, why?
I don't know. Just because that's too obvious. I know you're going to say that.
Do we have to do this as a collective? I think that would be more fun. If we
All right, let's do it as a collective. Let's decide on the positions. Shall we do one centre back, one centre mid, and one striker, or do you prefer winger over one of them?
No, I'd prefer centre back, centre mid, or DM.
All right, there you go. So let's start with centre back. I will say Varane.
Yeah, I'll take Varane.
Exactly.
If we're being realistic,
I would love Marquinhos, but he said realistic, so I'm having to say Varane for me. Midfielder, obviously the Declan Rice thing has been rejuvenated. I'm a bit at the same, not surprised, but also not surprised, if that makes sense, that this is a thing. Because I'm just, so who was waffling? Because some reports must have been waffling when we sacked Frank. Because they said there's literally the reason part of the reason why we sacked Frank is because he wanted Rice so badly. And now you're telling me we want Rice. So either the board are off their heads or some journalist has been waffling. because it's physically possible for both to be true. We can't now be interested in Rice and sack Lampard for wanting Rice. That makes no sense, right? Jester is a big fan of Chouameni. Never sure how to pronounce him. But have you seen any of him, Con, to judge him? Because I haven't, so that's why I haven't mentioned him anywhere really.
Oh, the Ligue 1 player.
Yeah.
Not really. No, I've heard good things from people who do watch a lot of French football, but obviously you have to take that with a pinch of salt.
Exactly.
He was the Ligue 1 player of the year, though, young player of the year. So I'm hearing things like it's very similar to Kante, and he's a bit more versatile, so he can play anywhere in midfield.
But is he a sitter though?
I don't think that's where he normally plays. It's like a thing where he can play it, but I think he's more of a sort of a Kante profile kind of player.
See, the problem I have with the whole DM thing, and I know actually midfield we're not actually that young with Kante, Georgie, and Kova, but I want us to really challenge City next season. And if we want to challenge City next season, we cannot. Haaland might be an exception to this, but we cannot just sign young players again where they need a few years to actually be that player that helps us challenge City.
Yeah.
But that same logic applies for Rice. But then I can't think of another DM that's somewhat realistic who isn't young, but also good. Do you know what I mean? It's weird. Like, Rice, I think he could do a very good job for us there. But of course, it would be too expensive, but it's not my money, right? And the ones you'd want there are someone like a Kimmich. Yeah, he's never going to happen. So I just don't know. Who would be your DM shout, Con?
I don't mind Rice, but I just think he's too expensive.
Yeah, no, I agree.
That Ligue 1 guy, I've heard good things. I haven't really seen much myself.
Yeah.
There was a guy in Bundesliga who Tuchel was sort of a fan of. What's his name? Is it Wengil? Who had at Dortmund?
Oh, Weigl.
Yeah. He could be like a temporary option for a season. Haven't seen much of him either. He would never
be a starter for us.
No
chance.
Laurenz, are you happy with Kova, Jorginho, and Kante for another season?
Not if we want to play back four, I'm not.
No. So
if we play a back three, I'm okay with it. But I don't want to play a back three, hence why I want a DM. I mean, you say Souček, he's not technically good enough to play for a team like us, in my opinion. And Verratti is not a DM for me. But
so you're leaning more towards Rice. You're leaning towards Rice there.
I am. I mean, sure, I would love a Casemiro or a Kimmich, but that's just not going to happen. So for me, it is probably Rice. But, in terms of somewhat realistic, probably, I'd probably lean to that, if that makes sense. I got rid of the question. That's a bit silly. Or, like you said, just stick to Bakayoko. Timmy Bakayoko. We had such a good song for him. That makes it even more sad, the fact that, he went so badly.
Flashback to Watford. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. What a shambles of a day. And then forward, I suppose it's interesting, especially now that the Lewandowski stuff has come out. Now, if I'm the club, I take Haaland because financially he's the smartest option. He might be the most expensive right now, but you get money back from him. From the other three, you don't. Especially Lewandowski, you get nothing back.
Yeah.
But in terms of success, I can't decide between Lewandowski and Kane because Kane's obviously Premier League proven. But obviously, let's just assume they're all realistic because to make the striker debate a bit more interesting, I suppose. Who would you pick between Kane and Lewandowski, mate?
Kane.
Fair enough. Oh, even if he costs double.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And if Kane is not going to happen because Spurs don't sell to us, who would your next first choice be? Would it be Haaland, Lukaku, Lewandowski?
I swear I change these every day. um, ooh. Lewandowski.
It's just I almost in my head I almost have it guaranteed if we sign Lewandowski we'll win the league next season.
Yeah, that's the sad thing I have. Like, we might only get 1 or 2 seasons out of him, but we're winning trophies with him.
Yeah. The sad thing is, what you'd want is a young striker behind him that by the time Lewandowski is then done can almost take over. But Tammy is either not good enough, but even if he was good enough, we're selling him anyway, so it's pointless. So that's kind of the frustrating part of it. But I'm still confused, like what our plan is with the whole striker role, because unless out of nowhere Giroud signs a new contract, Tammy's leaving unless we don't find anyone to sell him to. But we're getting rid of 2 strikers, and we're only going to sign 1. That's weird to me. I mean, unless Brozier comes in, like, and then said, but would Brozier really come in to be third choice? I don't know. We'd probably loan him out again. I was more likely.
Probably, yeah. So who would be your number 1? Would it be Haaland then, yeah?
No, just find, like, from a club's perspective, Haaland.
From your perspective.
Actually, Kane.
Kane.
Or are you talking without Kane?
With Kane.
No, then it's 100% Kane, without a doubt. Because Kane is like Lewandowski. I'm like, even though you might disagree, but for me, I'm even more sure of winning the league with Lewandowski than I am with Kane.
So am I.
But with Kane, I'm also pretty sure.
And Kane's 27 as well.
Yeah, I mean, he turns 28 this summer, like Lukaku, but yeah. It's a tough one. But I suppose, yeah. But realistic for strikers, realistic, I don't know if any of them are realistic, to be totally honest with you. Like, we won't find out until the end of the summer if we sign one of them, because if we haven't signed at least one of those 4, they weren't realistic, I suppose.
No, I agree. I think it really comes down to it's realistic because we're Chelsea.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at least now we have now confirmed Champions League football for next season. So that's already a big thing, because if we didn't get that, you could scrap these 4 straight off the marks of the book. Do you know what I mean? Opinions on Gueye. Does anyone have an interview where he says his name? Because I've heard his name by English people pronounced it about 15 different ways, and I have no idea how to pronounce it. But anyway, good player. I hope he gets a Prem loan next season, and then maybe the season after he can be in the first team. That's what I'm hoping. But I think it's pointless to give him the step right now, because then he just wouldn't get enough game time, and it would hamper his development. So give him a Prem loan next year, and then
spot on.
That's what I think. But yeah, do you have anything else? Haaland will stay at Dortmund. He might do, but he also might not want to stay there if Sancho leaves, because is he meant to do everything himself there? Like, he doesn't want to be. And Dortmund, if they sell Sancho, like, they're literally becoming a small club. Like, I know they have Royce still, but you know, they have Thorgan Hazard. I mean, Thorgan Hazard has had worse decline than Eden Hazard, and have you seen his decline this season?
I just don't see Haaland staying this summer, Laurenz. Like, he has an 80 mil release clause next season. Why would Dortmund not sell him for like 120 this season? Because it's not like they're a club that has a lot of money. 40 million to them makes
you say that. They prefer to let Lewandowski go to Bayern for a free rather than for 50 million a year earlier.
I suppose that's the Bayern, isn't it?
Yeah, no, but Bayern offered the 50 million and they said no. We're going to keep him for a year, and they knew full well he was going to go to them still a year later, just for free.
Yeah, I suppose that's a fair point. Maybe it's just me trying to convince myself that we can get a striker like Haaland, you know?
Yeah. It's weird, really, with all these, because obviously 3 months ago, the big talk was Haaland. Then obviously Lukaku stuff came out, now the Kane stuff, and now the other day the Lewandowski stuff. And at that point, I'm like, well, I mean, if you look at the Bundesliga goal scorer tables, and as we learned from Werner, they might not mean that much. Lewandowski scored 14 more goals this season than Haaland. Like, I know he's 12 years older, but 14 more goals, even though Haaland scored 27 goals. Like, it's ridiculous.
Well, Lewandowski scored 41.
Lewandowski scored 41 goals in 28 appearances, league.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, isn't it?
That's ridiculous. He broke all-time Bundesliga record with that.
I knew he scored the 40. I didn't know he's got the 41 though.
No, he literally scored the 41st in the last game in the 92nd minute. Yeah, so that's ridiculous stats. Again, Bundesliga, but Lewandowski is a bit different, I think. But yeah, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. At the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're going to round this out now. I've had a very long day. Like I said, in the morning I woke up with all sorts of shivers and fevers and all sorts of madness. And then I've just had a howler. I know Con doesn't follow F1 as far as I'm aware, but I've had a howler there. My local club should have had to win today. Then we might have gone promoted via playoff game. Instead, we lost. Chelsea lost. Thankfully, Tottenham made that not be as bad, but I've not had a good day. So thank you, Tottenham, again, because you've made this day acceptable. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate every single one of you that has tuned in. We still have over 230 people watching, which I massively appreciate as always. Of course, if you're still new here, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. We're on the road to 15,000 subscribers because why not? Even though we just hit 10. Hey, at some point, we're not going to stop. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Smash the like button. Like I said already, check out Con on Twitter, help him reach 100,000 followers. Con, as always, thank you for joining me. If you have any last words, please do share. But again, I appreciate you coming on as always, man.
Thank you, Tottenham. That's my words.
There you go. Thank you, Tottenham. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. Upwards and onwards, I suppose. And hey, the big one next. The big one next. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea. And I'll see you next time.